So the other day I saw a comment under a video saying, at least I don't have to knock doors anymore. And that was so relatable because actually I used to knock doors for a living. And I know all of us have something that we can say, at least I don't have to do that anymore. So basically any step you've taken forward in your life or a step away from doing something that you absolutely hate doing. And for me, one of the things I've done for a good 3 years of my life is knock doors for a living. And for those of you that don't know, knocking doors is basically door-to-door sales. And kind of sucks, honestly, like, and especially doing it in Canada, we have winters here. And do you think you just stop in the winter? Not really. You don't actually stop. You go outside, whether it's raining, pouring hard, and guess what? If you don't want to work on those days, you just don't make money, right? And what's the point of coming into work and be like, oh, it's raining? Well, in Canada, half the year or more is freezing and you don't want to be outside. But what do? Put on warmer clothes, and of course it toughens you up, it makes you a stronger person, but bottom line is it sucks ass. Like, it is the worst thing ever. I cannot stress it enough. And anyone who's done that knows exactly what I'm talking about. And imagine, there are some days where, I don't know. Oh, here's actually a great example. That was me and my buddy. We were knocking doors, and there was a tornado warning. And there was a really, really big storm coming. And it wasn't exactly a tornado, but the point is, me and him were in the eye of the storm, like the actual worst part of it. And we were knocking doors. And of course, it started raining like crazy, and then it started pouring, and it started hailing. And we had to cut off our customer interaction and basically start walking back to the car, because I was more worried about my car than me, because I'm like, the size of this hail is gonna damage my car. And so yeah, we walked back. We were fully drenched instantly, and people were recording us from their cars walking on the road, and everything was flooded instantly. And we were just wearing a t-shirt and pants, and the t-shirt was the merch of the company we represented that we were selling for. And yeah, people were recording that. They were having their fun. And we just kind of walked back to the car, everything just fully drenched, fully soaking, it was just the worst thing ever. But we went to a nearby Timmy's, that was like our reset spot where we took a break. Everything passed very quickly, and I had two choices. Either I go home and change, because ultimately it's out, and like, nobody can expect you to work after that, right? But I just thought this whole day is going to waste, and this just sucks. Like, I'm not going to make any money today this way, and you're probably going to get sick as well. So, because your clothes are just fully drenched. That was one option. Or the other option, I told my buddy, I was like, you know what? Why don't we just pretend that none of this just happened? Pretend we're not soaked right now. Pretend we're not freezing. Pretend, because the sun's out. Right? Look, pretend none of this shit just happened, and we're just going to go back to knocking doors like usual. And that's kind of the mindset you have to develop, because otherwise you're just not going to make any money. And even with that mindset, it was very difficult to make any money either way. But we went out there, and miraculously, yes, we made a couple sales. Great. The day was not wasted. And the interesting thing is, yes, there were actual fallen trees on the roads. There were flooded streets, and we just walked right through that, fully wet shoes, this is soggy, the sloshy shoes where it's full of water. Disgusting, worst thing ever. And yeah, and this is just one of the pretty much probably the worst job I've ever had, or it's the worst thing to do. And there are so many of us that actually have these kind of jobs, and I'm not saying it specifically has to be door to door. It could be anything else that really sucks for you personally. And if you know that you've taken a step away from that to do something else that is often better, it is something to be grateful for. So the way I look at it, no matter how shit things at a job can be, today I was working at a coffee shop. It was extremely busy, and I was also on a closing shift, so that was honestly fun. Like, I'm not gonna say it was not fun, because I actually enjoy when it's chaotic. It's just fun. Because what's the alternative? What was worse? What is worse? This or knocking doors outside? During storms, snowstorms, blizzards, minus 40 degrees, minus 40 degrees Celsius. I don't know how much is that in Fahrenheit. Knocking doors at all those extremes, worst thing ever. So no matter how hard or seemingly a job should get, nothing's worse than that, at least in my life so far. So, and you know, if you're in that situation right now, and you might be thinking like, okay, this, you know, I gotta get out of this. Try it. See, you know, seek another opportunity, seek to do something better, and you'll be so glad you moved away, because guess what? Your life is still passing. There's absolutely there's no reason to continue doing something so shitty. You know, a lot of people who do the same thing over and over and hate their job, I just think, why? You know, I've done that, and now I just realize, why? You don't have to. You think you have to. Well, I gotta pay my bills, you know, so this gets the bills paid, someone's gotta pay rent. Yes, but there's always an option. And if you believe that you have an option, and you have options, and you believe that, yes, there is better things out there for me specifically, then there is. It's that simple. There is. You will find something better. You will keep your mind open for better opportunities, and you will be so glad that you've left that situation, because you've just upgraded your life a step further. You literally increased your quality of life by making a single move, a single decision. And guess what? Your bills continue to get paid. Everything continues as it was. It's just, you don't hate your life for now 8 hours of the day. Or very often those jobs are not even 8 hours. When I was knocking doors, I was working 12 hours a day, at least. So that's just a bit of my story. Thanks for watching.